Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really diving into neurodiversity in the workplace.
Yeah.
And look, this isn't just about abstract concepts. We want to move straight into, practical strategies, real business cases, examples from companies actually doing this.
Absolutely. Our mission here is to help you quickly grasp how understanding neurodiversity, this whole spectrum of how people think differently, can genuinely boost innovation, performance, and, well, just make your organization stronger overall.
Okay.
And we've got some great insights today looking at what places like Swedbank and Accenture are doing.
Right. So let's set the stage first. A key point from the sources is that diversity isn't something you choose to have. It's already there. It's a reality. The real work is recognizing the cognitive diversity you already have on your teams and figuring out how to leverage it strategically.
The talent is definitely there. It's just sometimes hidden. The challenge is getting organizations to shift their perspective to actually see it.
Okay, so let's define what we're talking about. Neurodiversity is really an umbrella term, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It covers all these natural differences in how our brains work, how we think, learn, behave. The sources list things like autism spectrum, ADHD, dyslexia.
And also dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, even Tourette's syndrome. It's a broad spectrum.
Right.
And the really crucial thing, the big takeaway from the research is this paradigm shift that's happening. Or, well, that needs to keep happening.
Oh.
For a long time, the medical model was dominant. It viewed these differences as disorders, deficiencies, things to be fixed or cured.
Treating being different like it's an illness.
Basically, yeah. But now, thanks to thinkers like the Australian sociologist Judy Singer, there's a move towards the social model, or the biodiversity model.
Biodiversity model, I like that.
It argues that these brain differences are just natural variations in the human experience. Like different hair colors or heights, they're not inherently bad.
So the focus shifts.
Completely.
Yeah.
The goal isn't to change the person to fit the system. It's to appreciate these variations and, crucially, structure the environment to unlock their strengths.
Okay, so that reframing forces us to look at the effect perspective. What neurodivergent people often excel at? What are some of those specific research-backed talents?
Well, one big one is the capacity for intense focus, hyper-focus even, especially on things they're really interested in.
The motivation factor.
Huge factor. There's a great quote. "It's not that I can't do it, I'm just not interested." So aligning tasks with genuine interest is key.
Makes sense.
Beyond that, the sources consistently highlight strong analytical skills. Logical thinking, associative thinking, seeing connections others miss.
Spotting patterns or potential problems.
Exactly. Finding bugs, seeing market gaps, stuff neurotypical folks might just gloss over.
And creativity often comes up too, right? Visual thinking, spatial reasoning,
Yeah.
leading to innovative solutions.
Definitely. But it's not all technical. The communication side is interesting too.
Yeah, I found that bit fascinating. What kind of strengths are we talking about there?
Well, sometimes high empathy comes up and radical honesty, which, okay, can sometimes clash with typical corporate politeness.
I can imagine. Directness.
Yeah, but that directness, that truthfulness can be a massive asset if your company genuinely values transparency.
Great point.
And we also need to think about expression. If someone's highly skilled verbally, don't force them into writing long reports if they can explain it brilliantly in a meeting. Adapt to their strength.
That flexibility seems key. Use the tools they have.
Right. But despite all these potential assets, the studies suggest, 20, maybe 22% of people are neurodivergent.
Yeah, a significant chunk of the population.
But the number of people who are openly neurodivergent at work, it's usually much, much lower.
So where's all this talent? Why is it hidden? Why aren't companies tapping into it?
A huge part of the answer is masking.
Masking. Explain that.
It's when neurodivergent individuals consciously or unconsciously hide their natural traits, their communication styles, sensory needs, how they process things. They try to suppress it all to fit into what they perceive as normal workplace behavior.
Why? Out of fear.
Absolutely. Fear of stigma, discrimination, negative impacts on their career. It's a very real fear based on often very real experiences.
Wow, that sounds exhausting. Constantly performing normal, like running an internal marathon all day.
It is exhausting. And all that cognitive energy spent on masking, that's energy not going into their actual job. It fuels anxiety.
Right.
There was this really powerful quote in the source material from a woman diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, at 30. She said, "Nothing in my life has been normal. I learned to show people what they expected."
Oof, that's heavy.
It really is, and the conclusion from stories like that is stark. You can't keep asking the individual to change to fit a system that wasn't built for them. The work environment has to adapt.
That feels like a fundamental shift. A big ask for some places. If the environment has to change, where do companies even start? What are the biggest barriers?
Okay, sensory environment is a big one. Open plan offices, often terrible for concentration.
The noise, the visual distraction.
Exactly. Loud noises, bright or flickering lights, busy visual clutter. It can cause sensory overload for many neurodivergent people. That's a huge barrier to focus.
Okay, so physical space. What else?
Rigidity, rigid work structures, fixed hours, mandatory office presence. Many neurodivergent employees thrive with hybrid or remote work because it gives them control over their sensory input and their work rhythms.
Control seems important.
It is. And then there are the social and communication structures. These often rely on unspoken rules, which can be tricky.
How so?
Well, hierarchy, for example. Some neurodivergent individuals are very direct. They might bypass layers of management to get the information they need, or speak very plainly to senior leaders.
Which could be seen as challenging authority.
It could be, but it's often just about efficiency or honesty, not disrespect. Also, teamwork. While collaboration is important, some individuals just work much, much better on their own, doing deep, focused work. Forcing constant team interaction can be counterproductive for them.
So managers need flexibility in how work gets done, not just what gets done.
Precisely. Which leads us towards solutions. How do we actually build a neuro-inclusive environment?
Yeah, let's get practical. The sources talk about a simple framework. The 3A formula. Awareness, acknowledge, support.
That's it. Abstinades, at Zete, at Ballstit in the original perhaps, but awareness, acknowledge, support works perfectly. And it applies across the board to the employee, the employer, and the colleagues too.
Okay, how does that work in practice? Two sides to it.
Exactly.
Yep.
So for the employee, think of it like a three-legged stool for self-advocacy.
Yeah.
Leg 1, understand and accept yourself. Know your strengths, know your needs. Leg 2, be clear on the difference between professional needs, things essential for you to do your job well, and just wishes or preferences.
Ah, that's a crucial distinction. Needs versus wants. Keeps accommodation requests focused.
Right. And leg 3, communicate those essential needs to your employer or team without fear. You don't necessarily even have to name a specific condition, just explain the need.
Okay, that sounds logical, but that third leg, communicating needs, openly relies heavily on the company culture, doesn't it? If the environment isn't safe, asking an employee to do that puts them right back at risk of the discrimination we just talked about.
You've hit the nail on the head. That's the friction point. The burden can't just be on the employee. That's where the employer's role comes in. Primarily adopting an individual approach, recognizing there's no one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one person might not work for another, even with the same label. And critically, ensuring processes and rules are clear and well-defined.
Reducing ambiguity.
Yes, ambiguity breeds anxiety, clear expectations, clear communication channels, clear processes that signal safety and predictability, which benefits everyone, but especially neurodivergent employees.
Okay.
And this brings us nicely to the curbside effect. Have you heard of this?
I think so. The idea that fixing something for one group helps everyone.
Exactly. The classic example is the curb cut in a sidewalk, designed for wheelchair users, right? But who else uses it? Parents with strollers, delivery drivers with carts, people on bikes, older folks? Everyone benefits.
Okay, I see the connection.
So adjustments made to make the workplace more accessible for neurodivergent employees, like offering quiet zones, clear communication protocols, flexible schedules, they almost always end up improving the work environment for all employees. Anyone who needs quiet time to focus benefits from a quiet zone.
That's a powerful argument against seeing accommodations as just a burden or special treatment. It's universal design, basically.
Precisely. And we can apply this thinking right from the start, like in recruitment.
How? Job ads.
Job ads need to be crystal clear, concrete language. Ditch the vague, cutesy stuff like marketing ninja or asking for sparkling eyes.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Nobody knows. Be specific and clearly separate the absolute must-have requirements from the nice-to-haves. Don't inflate the requirements list.
And the interview itself.
Predictability is key there. Tell candidates in advance who they'll meet, where it will be. Offer the option they don't have to take it, but offer the option to see the main questions beforehand.
Why beforehand?
It allows processing time. You're testing their skills and thinking, not their ability to perform under sudden, high-pressure questioning, especially in potentially distracting environments like an open office. Conduct interviews somewhere calm.
Okay, let's look at how this plays out in the real world. You mentioned Swedbank and Accenture. What are they doing right? Let's start with Swedbank. Their approach seems very focused on practical empathy.
Yeah, Swedbank's core philosophy seems to be that every single person is a talent, and you need to find and use their strengths.
And they have that diversity simulator. Tell me more about that.
Right, the diversity simulator. It sounds fascinating. It's a tool they use to let employees and even the public physically experience some of the challenges others face, like simulations of anxiety or different perceptual experiences, hearing difficulties.
Wow. So it's not just talking about empathy, it's trying to feel it.
Exactly. It drives genuine understanding internally, and it also helps them think practically about physical accessibility requirements. It's about getting people to, metaphorically walk in someone else's shoes.
A humanizing step.
Very much so. And they're backing it up with physical changes, too. They actually retrofitted an older open-plan office building,
What did they do?
created dedicated quiet rooms, specific zones designed to minimize sensory overload. They recognized the standard office itself could be the disabling factor.
So changing the environment, like we discussed.
hmm And their culture supports it. They emphasize emotional intelligence and managers needing to sense when someone might be struggling. They promote this idea of no stranger colleagues, meaning inclusion is a shared responsibility.
Everyone's job.
Yeah, and they use hybrid work strategically, not just as a perk, but as a way to provide necessary focus time and control for employees who need it.
Okay, interesting approach at Swedbank. What about Accenture? What's their focus?
Accenture seems heavily focused on building a strong internal community and providing clear resources. It all starts with a really strong zero-tolerance policy on discrimination, building that foundation of psychological safety first.
Safety first. Makes sense.
And on that foundation, they've built a thriving employee resource group, or ERG, specifically for neurodiversity.
What does the ERG do?
It's a community includes neurodivergent employees, family members, allies, all working together. They provide mutual support, they raise awareness within the company, and they actively advocate for policy changes.
So the community drives real change.
Absolutely. Tangible benefits came directly from the ERG's work. They pushed for and got quiet chill-out zones created.
And I bet everyone uses them.
Exactly. The curbside effect right there. These zones became super popular with all employees needing a break or some focus time. They also got a dedicated sensory mindfulness room set up with things like weighted blankets for stress reduction.
That's quite specific.
It shows they're listening to specific needs and the impact. The sources suggest it really helps with retention. People feel supported, they feel comfortable, they feel included, so high-level talent stays long-term.
It's a retention strategy, ultimately.
And it enables necessary flexibility. Open communication, fostered by the ERG, means people feel safe asking for accommodations, like adjusting schedules for caregiving needs. The example given was managing a child's diabetes care during the workday. That flexibility allows them to stay and contribute fully.
So accommodations aren't just about compliance. They're about enabling peak performance.
Absolutely. They unlock the potential that's already there. Hashtag #outro.
Okay, so bringing this all together, what's the core message for our listeners?
I think the main takeaway is this. You have to shift the focus. Move away from seeing neurodifferences as deficiencies and towards building an environment that accommodates and leverages them. It's about the environment, not fixing the person.
And practically.
Practically, it comes down to two big things. Taking an individualized approach, because everyone's different, and fostering a culture of really open, honest, safe communication between employees, managers, everyone.
It really boils down to accepting human variety, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I keep thinking about that quote you mentioned earlier. I think there are no normal people. There are only people we don't know well enough.
That really reframes things, doesn't it? If someone communicates differently or seems to process things in an unusual way, maybe the first assumption shouldn't be that they're difficult or wrong. Maybe we just don't understand their way of operating yet.
Right. Lack of information, not lack of competence.
Exactly.
We talked about Swedbank's simulator, that idea of stepping into different shoes. Maybe that's the challenge for everyone listening this week. Think about it. What would it actually mean to try and wear the different shoes of a colleague? How does really trying to understand their unique experience of the world change how you see their strengths, maybe even their quirks or imperfections? How does it build empathy?
That vulnerability, that willingness to understand difference, that's where innovation often sparks. Look for the strengths. Start the conversation. Be curious.
Great advice. That's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.